With Halloween just ending, I wanted to watch a horror movie. I wanted to watch it on Halloween night, but we were pretty busy on that night. But I'm kind of happy because I rewatched a horror movie that I generally think is a really, really, really good movie. An almost masterpiece, I can say. And that horror movie is Hereditary. I think Hereditary has potential to be a very probably one of the best horror movies out there. It's just that it falls short on something that I think is very debatable amongst the people who watch this movie. And it's pretty easy to see that um, the ending of the movie kind of fell short. I know there's like a lot of debates going on online saying like, oh, the ending of Hereditary was really good, and there's also some saying that oh, the end of Hereditary was just so bad that it made this amazing horror movie fall short. And I'm on the side of that, saying that I didn't really like the ending of the movie. I think that if the ending of the movie was to end probably like 10 minutes before the ending, the normal ending of the movie, I feel like this would have been a really like 9 out of 10, even maybe even 9.5 horror movie out there. um, so based off all like the other horror movies that exist out there, like it's just the same bullcrap over and over again with the horror movies. Like it just gets generally old. Like it's not even scary no more. It's just more like goofy and like not funny, and it's just boring. Not even scary. Like most of the jump scares nowadays are just super predictable. But there are some gold mines out there with horror movies, and I think Hereditary needs to be or is one of those gold in the mines. So let's talk about it. Um, Before we get into the plot's pretty interesting, I can say. But before I do it, I want to talk about like as a movie in general. I think the acting in this movie is top tier. I think every single actor and actress who played in this movie is amazing. I think they played it off really really good. Like I felt like I was really there. Like whenever the parents and the kids argue, it's completely feels so real. Like the way Annie is like acting, whenever she's grieving over the loss of Charlie, like you can really feel her emotions, and that's what I really like about it. Again, like before the 10 minute, before those like last 10 minutes, 20 minutes of the movie when they got possessed by the demon, I think everything before that point was just superb. Like it was amazing. I felt everything. Like I even felt a little bit uncomfortable during the watch of this movie, especially when I first watched it. I was kind of uncomfortable. Like I don't like this movie didn't really scare me. It was more of like being uncomfortable because you're seeing a family going through absolute grief, and also like this is more like plot story, but like you're seeing the family go, you know, grief while like the grandmother made it worse for them, you can say. Uh, but like all our acting is amazing. I like it. The characters are really good. The atmosphere and the camera work. I will say that the cinematography, you could say, is kind of slower sometimes. So there's like some points where it takes like a full like 2 minutes to get like a point across on like a on like a certain scene, you can say. But I understand why they do that is to add to the atmosphere and to add to that that the scary atmosphere, because again this is a horror movie and a cult horror movie, you can say. But there were some times in the movie where I felt like, okay, this is going way too slow. Like the camera is like literally it's moving like this, and it takes like so long to get like the scene. And I was like, okay, like I get it, it's scary. But can we go like a little bit faster? But that only happens not even a lot of times. Maybe like a little bit throughout the movie. But there were also some times when that slow camera movement works really really good with the movie, and that's what I like about it. I think like the way they did this horror movie is like what every horror movie should be, because like everything like horror related, like there's not a lot of jump scares. It doesn't rely on jump scares. There was like probably one jump scare, but it's not really like a big jump scare. It's more like a, oh wow, that's a insane, like okay, that was a very loud noise, you know, um, and it's just it's good. It's like I don't know how else to say other than like it's a really really good horror movie. But yeah, it's good. So I'm gonna try and get my best and talk about the plot, because the plot is kind of like hard to explain, and with the way I talk about things, it's gonna be hard for me to explain it. But I'm gonna try my best. So, oh, and if you haven't seen this movie, the spoilers, I guess I'm gonna talk about spoilers. So if you haven't watched this movie, don't watch it. Okay, so excuse me. So the story follows a family. Steve, Peter, Steve and Peter is the dad and the son, and Annie and Charlie is the mom and the daughter, and we follow them. And their family, which you get to see throughout the entire movie, has a background has a background of being cultish. Like, I think the grandmother was like a cult leader or something. And you could see it through the movie. Like, the grandma dies, but when the grandma dies, I feel like that's when everything went to just absolutely just abhorrent. Like, it just went to complete like shambles, you can say. And you can see that, like, Charlie, I think, is first affected by this, where she's acting very, very weird. Like, she's like cutting off bird heads. She's like acting strange when she eats something. Her like throat gets bigger, you can say, and that kind of like leads to her dying by Peter, because they went to a party. Peter had to bring her to the party because of Annie's orders. So he brought her. They were smoking and having like a little fat party. Charlie was eating chocolate that probably had weed in it, and so she felt her throat getting bigger. Peter was like, "Oh no, we have to get you to a hospital immediately." So this guy's speeding on down the highway in the dark, and he had like a little accident, and it knocked Charlie's head off, completely off. And now this is basically like the end of like Peter being sane. And like after this point of Charlie dying, is where everything goes to complete shambles. So you see Peter just deteriorating as a human being. You can see, like, whenever Annie finds out that Peter accidentally killed her, it's like she's super like grieving over this. Like, she's like, the acting, like whenever she's grieving over Charlie's death, is amazing. It is. And my voice, and I don't know, like, you can see throughout the movie that, like, you can see her like holding back her anger on Peter. Like, you can tell that this lady is very mad at Peter, but she doesn't show it. She's trying to like hold it in, and she's basically grieving over her death. And so she went to like a rehabilitation center where she went there also because of her mom's death. So now she has to go back there again about her daughter's death. And there's this random lady named Joanne. Now, Joanne's a very important character in this movie. So you find out later that she's actually part of the cult that Annie's grandmother led, basically. And that cult's about like bringing someone like Paimon back. Paimon is like one of the demons from hell, and in order for Paimon to basically surface on Earth, they need a male host. So that's like the whole point of that movie. So Joanne does like some cultish crap. She's able to like bring back her son from like talking, and then it brings on to Annie. She's super, like, again, Annie is super grief, so anything that she can do to see Charlie again, she'll do it. So automatically she does it, and you can see like throughout the last couple of seconds when she leaves Joanne's house, you can see Joanne like smiling at her, like, oh, she's like, I hope she'll come back to you. And then she leaves, and then like whenever this starts happening, like whenever she gets this information, it gets very weird for her. So she does it. Steve, who is Annie's husband, is super like creeped out and super like, I don't know how to say it, like he's very like, whoa lady, chill out, or like, you're going crazy honey. Like he was acting like that, and then he was like super like creeped out, super like skeptical, super confused going on. Peter is he's very like scared of her, so like whenever they got the cup to move because of Charlie, he got very scared. They almost died, like, and then like a lot of things happened. So like you can see like whenever she got close to like a fire, when she put out like a book that contained the information about Paimon and like the background of her mom's like past, of her being like a cult leader, you can see her like, I guess, in shock, you can say, like, because you didn't know that your mom is part of a cult. So she burns the books, but well, she burns the books, but she wanted her husband to do it for some reason, um, you know, which is kind of weird. But her husband is just super out of it. He's like, I'm not dealing with this no more. I'm calling the police. You're going to asylum. You need help, and he's just there. But then he wants to do it. He's like, okay, I'll do it for you. And then he like stops. He regrets it. Um, and then Annie, out of like just pure agony, she just takes the books from the husband's hand and just throws it right in the fire. And then you can see that her husband gets lit on fire. Now, whenever this happened, I'm pretty sure Paimon came back in the fire. So you can see her like making like it's like a very iconic scene in the movie where you can see her making like that shock face, and then she like her face gets serious, so she's like this. And in that point, well, she makes that like the facial change is whenever like I think Paimon got into her, so then that's when everything got oopa. So Steve is dead. He's dead. Charlie's dead because of Peter, and now Paimon is in Annie. Now I'm going to say that Annie dies in this one. Like whenever Annie gets possessed by Paimon, she's dead. Like there's no coming back for her. So now Peter is like, Peter is in his bed. He broke his nose because he just banged his head on the table, like he just bangs his head on the table and gets scared, which is also really good. Like the acting, like all the points where the family's arguing, whenever they get possessed, whenever they, whenever they do something as a family together, the acting is amazing. It is. I feel like that the actors and the actresses pulled it off really, really well, and I really like them for that. But Peter is grieving, so you get to see like Annie's possessed body like in the corner of the room of Steve's bedroom, and you can see him like getting up, and you can see like Annie like crawling on the walls, which is kind of funny. And whenever the point of when Annie starts floating in the wall, it's kind of like the part where it gets kind of felt like it's like the falling off era, beyond this point of when whenever Peter wakes up and Annie is like in the corner of the room is when it starts to get a little bit iffy of the movie, because before that it was amazing. Like it was a really good horror movie, but like this point on it just falls off completely. So you see Annie there in the corner of the room, she's crawling around. Peter is very like, Annie's just stalking her. Like I wouldn't even call it Annie, I would call it Paimon. Paimon is stalking him because again, Paimon needs a male host in order to wander the earth, basically. So and then he goes to the living room. He finds out that his dad died, got burned alive, and then you can see Annie in the corner of the room. And then a very funny moment in the movie is when Peter turns around. He sees like a naked smiling man with his abs, like you just see a naked smiling man with his cock is just out there showing. And when I first watched it, I'm like, who the hell is that guy? And then when I watched it the second time, I'm like, oh, that's probably a cult leader. That's probably like one of his grandmother's cult friends, basically. And then he's just like, wow, what is going on? So then he turns around, you see Annie, then they have like a big chase scene. He goes into the attic, and then closes the attic, and then Annie's just doing this, banging her head on the attic upside down, and it's kind of funny. Like most of the things that's happening now with like Annie in the possession is just goofy. It's not even scary. It's more just goofy. Like even the guy with like him smiling in the corridor of the room is just not even scary. It's just not even disturbing too. It's just funny. Like imagine just like seeing a guy there just smiling with just his cock out, and then he's just like, how do you like not laugh at that? Now if that was happening in real life, okay, I can see that being scary. But like in a movie, come on, you have to admit that's pretty freaking funny, right? And then in the attic, you can see like Annie, like whenever after a while, after like 2 minutes, you can see Annie like doing this with her head, like she's cutting her head off. So I think Paimon, because again, Paimon got Peter in the attic, which is very like cramped, so he is able to possess them easily there, right? So then he's basically killing Annie. Boom, Annie's dead. And then Peter sees more cult leaders, but not cult leaders, sees more cult members in the attic. So he got scared. He jumps out the window, and Peter dies. And also Annie dies too in that same thing. So then now paimon, as the ghost spirit himself, he goes down to Peter, takes him as the host. He goes up to the attic, and Joanne is there, and a lot of the naked cult members is there too, and they all have a seance, and they say, "Welcome back, paimon." And the movie ends. That's basically like Hereditary right there. I tried my best to explain the ending there, but again, I didn't like the ending. I mean, it was a very like generic movie crap, but I didn't really like the ending that much. But everything before the ending, like the last 20 minutes, 10 minutes of the movie, it was really really good. Like I can't really explain the plot that well. I mean, there was some moments in the whole movie where it was like, what? So like, like one of the biggest like questions I have about this whole movie is when Peter and Charlie gets home from the party, and I'm surprised that Annie or one of the parents didn't check on Peter and Charlie coming home, because I feel like if Annie and Peter just didn't check them out, she wouldn't have screamed in the morning when she opened her car door and sees Charlie beheaded body on in the car. Like, I don't understand why she didn't, like, whenever they came home, she didn't come out of the room and say, "Hey guys, how's it going? How's the party? Okay, good night." I don't know why she didn't say that. I feel like if she was to do that, she would have noticed, like, Peter, where's Charlie? And then that would have been a very big, like, turning point of the movie. Like, imagine if that happened. But we got that part of the story instead. But I feel like that's just, like, there's some moments in the movie where it's like, okay, well, why are we doing this? Like, bigger questions. Why couldn't they play it more smart? But, again, that's my red shirt. I got scared. Okay, hey, it's a horror movie. I'm not someone who's scared of horror movies, but anyway, all in all, Hereditary is a really good movie. I can go deeper into this, but since I'm doing this with like no script, no nothing, just full on free fall, I'm not gonna do it. But in order to experience it yourself, watch it. It's really good. Probably one of my favorite horror movies out there. There are some other ones that I like out there too, but Hereditary does stand out as probably one of my favorite horror movies. The only thing that I hate about it is the ending, and I think if they didn't have the ending in there, no joke, this probably could have been like a 9.5 out of 10. Like, no joke. It would have been a really, really good horror movie. But yeah, Ari Aster, I think that's the director's name, Ari Aster. You made a masterpiece. Good job, man. Appreciate that for you. Alright, happy November 2nd, and happy late Halloween. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.